Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. I am Layla Laniado. I'm Secretary and Executive Committee of the Board of the Buckhead City Committee. Other volunteer members of the board that are here with me today, we have Sam Lanews, Jamie Ainsley, and Bill White. We are here today to affirm our continued fight for Buckhead cityhood and our right to determine our fate. Our board wants to first announce that we have met and voted on two critically important items. We approved our strategic plan forward and our vote of confidence in our volunteer CEO and dear friend, Bill White. Bill White will remain as CEO and chairman of the Buckhead City Committee. Thank you. Our committee is about all of the families in Buckhead, about each and every resident. It is about our entire community. It's about the right to vote and the right to protect our families. We will never get tired of doing everything we can to protect our families. We remain united in our desire to be granted a public vote, and our community will never stop advocating for our voice to be heard. Buckhead has been carved out between a half a dozen legislative seats, and Buckhead's choice for mayor has not been successful in modern history. Buckhead is only represented by 2 out of 12 districts representatives, and as such, a Buckhead initiative will be voted down by a 6-1 margin every time in the Atlanta City Council. Thank you for being here. And with that, I would like to introduce former Buckhead State Representative Beth Baskin. Thank you.
Thank you, Layla. I'm Beth Baskin, and I've lived in Buckhead since 1992 for 30 years when my husband Jim and I moved to Atlanta from our home state of Louisiana. I served the people of Buckhead in historic Brookhaven in the Georgia House from 2015 to 2019, and I'm here today to tell you why I support Buckhead City. I understand how things work under the Gold Dome, and I'm more than aware that there remains time for the people of Buckhead to have the opportunity to vote on cityhood, just as the General Assembly is providing that opportunity right now to the people of Vinings and East Cobb.
Yes.
In fact, there are powerful people in the legislature who believe Georgia voters should be given the chance to vote to create casino gambling and sports betting, but somehow believe such a vote should not be given to Buckhead residents. It's important to understand that Buckhead's fight for independence and autonomy has become a national issue. Republican leaders around this nation are looking to Georgia to fight back against leaders who have in the past voted to defund the police, to reimagine a city jail into one that has virtually no detainees, and who have paid lip service to fighting crime by announcing and re-announcing the opening of a new police precinct 1.5 blocks from here that is unopened and as yet unstaffed, while woefully understaffing existing ones. In my discussions over the last month with my former constituents, people around the state, and others, including on my weekly radio show, I have been asked one question. What good is a Republican majority in the General Assembly if they refuse to take on what has become the best known and most supported issue by Republicans statewide in this legislative session? That issue being giving Buckhead voters the right to determine their future. Much has been made in recent days of my comments suggesting that I'm not sure how Buckhead residents would vote, and that Democrats won most races around here in 2020. That is all true. We have seen respected polls showing overwhelming support for a new city, and other polls that show less support. And yes, prior to this last year of failed leadership from the White House and surging crime in our own community, Democrats won most races within the region. But I think people are fed up with leadership out of Washington and feeble efforts to ensure public safety here in Atlanta. So my question is this: if people believe that the people of Buckhead will vote down cityhood, then why are they so afraid to let people vote? We know where many Atlanta newspapers and the Democrats who protect the city of Atlanta leadership from criticism, we know where they stand on this issue. They have made their views known through endless editorials masquerading as news stories and countless comments and tweets about leaders of the Buckhead city effort. But I predict these same voices will turn on the leaders of both the House and the Senate down the road when the time works for them. Meanwhile, the vast majority of voters who support these Republican leaders want to allow Buckhead voters to vote for cityhood. There is no reason for Georgia Republican leaders to hide, as the problems we have witnessed in Buckhead continue, even in the past few days. According to the Atlanta Police Department Crime Data Portal, there have been 24 homicides in Atlanta already in 2022, an increase from the 14 homicides logged by this date last year in 2021. That's an increase of 70% in Atlanta homicides year to date. 2 of these homicides happened yesterday. I think it is time for the members of the General Assembly to ignore the views on Buckhead City of a lieutenant governor who, I believe, has disdain for the vast majority of Georgia Republican voters and who, according to the polls, could not be reelected in Georgia. I believe our lieutenant governor has his own agenda, which is diametrically opposed to what grassroots Georgia Republicans want. The Senate has other leadership, and it is time for those leaders to voice their support of a Buckhead City vote and take action. Woo! And finally, one major candidate for the Republican nomination for governor of Georgia has already voiced strong support for a Buckhead City vote. We need our incumbent governor to do the same. We need him to ask his floor leaders to sign the bill, to use his power to ask that the bill be heard and moved out of committee, and to allow the Speaker of the House to move this bill to the Senate. We, the residents and taxpayers of Buckhead, enlist the support of voters around Georgia in urging our leaders to allow Buckhead to vote for Buckhead City. And now I'll turn it over to Bill White, the Buckhead City Committee Volunteer CEO.
First, I want to say, if you have not read this book, it is a great read. Thank you, Pastor Michael Youssef. We attended church on Sunday with him and his beautiful family of congregants, and it was one of the most moving experiences. If you haven't been to this church, it is definitely one. It's definitely one to try out. Thank you so much, Beth, and thank you, Layla. Good morning. For those of you who do not know me, my name, that was a joke. My name is Bill White, and I am the volunteer CEO of the Buckhead City Committee. I have only 2 things to say, which may be a surprise to many of you, here this morning, and then I plan to introduce 3 wonderful people who represent our broad swath of extraordinary supporters. I want to first thank my husband and lifelong Buckhead resident, Brian Muir, and our amazing family for all of his and their sacrifices and his and their leadership. I love you. Number one, this movement, Buckhead City, will never end. It is not going to end. We will never give up. We will never give in to the city of Atlanta and their coordinated effort to deny us our right to vote on cityhood. This movement began in neighbors' living rooms with less than 10 people. Pretty amazing. And in just over a year, we have given voice to the disenfranchised voters of Buckhead. Despite what you hear, we know, based on our third poll of legally registered voters in Buckhead, that 72% favor a vote. And that includes people who might vote no. Those are the numbers. And they want this on the ballot now. Not next year, not the year after. They want it on now. We have placed over 3,000 yard signs throughout the area, and we have raised almost $2 million locally from thousands of residents of Buckhead, from people who actually live here. Thank you so much to our amazing supporters who are here with us today. We love all of you. Thank you so much. I want to especially recognize somebody who has been a victim of crime. There are many of you here. I just heard from somebody whose son was kidnapped in Buckhead, and the stories go on and on. But his name is William Lefford Neighbors, and he's a wonderful human being. He suffers from cerebral palsy, and he was mugged in his wheelchair, going from work home to visit with his mother. And he's an attorney who represents disabled veterans and senior citizens, and it's a disgrace. And you know who mugged him trying to steal his phone are these water boys who Mayor Bottoms calls entrepreneurs. So I want you to recognize this great attorney, if you ever need one, William Neighbors. We love you. And we're fighting for you, William. We're fighting for you, sir. We believe that this delay of our vote, and I want to emphasize this, I think this is the most important thing I could say today. We believe that this delay in allowing our vote will put lives, property, businesses, commerce, and the already vastly diminished quality of life in Buckhead at severe risk. Let me say it again. Putting lives and property and commerce in severe risk. Any delay. Andre Dickens voted to defund the police. Buckhead did not want Andre Dickens to be their mayor. And as Beth said, homicides in his first 45 days are up almost 80% compared to last year. Andre Dickens does not have the political will to fix crime. Plain and simple. Does anyone agree with that? So what are we doing? We are embarking on a new fundraising campaign to ensure our vote. We have already received a $25,000 contribution this morning, and we want to say, if you have a yard sign in your yard, leave it up. Leave it up. When we have to, which I hope we don't, we might update them. And we'll send those out just as soon as we need to. Number two, the Buckhead City Committee has voted unanimously to continue pushing for a vote for as long as it takes. Although there seems to be an obsession, truly, that this is about one person. Do you agree with that too? It is not. It is about 80,000 legally registered voters who want and who deserve to vote this year. Any excuse, and man, is this an excuse, that we're not on the ballot this year because some want to make this about one person or the other is not ringing true with anyone who lives in Buckhead. We call upon Governor Kemp, Speaker Ralston, Jeff Duncan, Butch Miller, Mike Dugan, Bill Calsert, and Larry Walker to please get this done now. We ask everyone here and listening on our live stream on Facebook and who will be hearing about this news to let these people, these specific 7 people, know how you feel. I want to thank our executive board, Sam Linnaeus, Jamie Inslee, and Leila Leniato, and our top supporters for their faith and confidence in me as our volunteer CEO. We take very seriously our responsibility to our voters here in Buckhead City. We want to thank all of our volunteers and professional teammates who are leading with integrity each and every day to make our community safer. We have assembled the most qualified cityhood team ever engaged and assembled. Period, end of sentence. When Buckhead City is up and running, which it will be, with our very well thought out and tested plan, bonds, schools, lower taxes, the same price for water, all the things you've heard that we have figured out up and down, all of that, we will be able to bring Buckhead back to her original luster in very short order. Thank you. Excuse me. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the one and only Milani Kai. Now listen, if you have not been listening to Word on the Street, she and Shelley Winter do a great job with Scotty B on WSB Radio. And they had Ed Lindsay and Beth Beskin on for a wonderful debate. Oh, and I'm now presenting Milani Kai.
Good morning, everyone. I will confirm that I did see Bill and Brian at church, at Church of the Apostles, so you aren't just making that up. I stand before you, I'm Milani Kai. I stand before you as a longtime resident of Buckhead and a strong supporter of the Buckhead City Committee. On behalf of myself and thousands of nameless Buckhead residents, we support the Buckhead City Committee, and we also support Bill White, because he's not the only person that wants to build Buckhead City to happen. So I will never stop using my sphere of influence to help try to convince the leaders to do the right thing. And the right thing is to, whether the residents vote yes or no, the right thing is to allow us to get a vote. And so on behalf of myself, 80,000 plus residents here, the only thing we're saying is please give us an opportunity, leaders, do the right thing and give us an opportunity to vote. Whether that vote is yes or no, sí or no, I speak Espanol, yeah, do that in there. Sorry, went off the script, John. We just want an opportunity to vote, so we're never gonna give up on that. And this is a message to everyone in the state of Georgia, in Metro Atlanta, and to everyone around the nation that is watching this. We are not going to give up trying to fight for our right to vote. I'm not standing before you as Milani Kai, WSB radio personality. I'm standing before you as a brand new business owner and a longtime resident of Buckhead City. And I end you with this. Something Confucius said is what Buckhead City's doing. It does not matter how slowly you go, just don't stop. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nico Cartasis is the president of the Buckhead Life restaurants. If you haven't eaten at Chops lately, or Kaima, or Lobster Bar, or Preachy, or Bistro Nico, then you are not living. So get on over there.
Hi, my name is Nico Cartasis. I'm here today as a Buckhead business owner. My family and I own and operate 7 restaurants here in the heart of Buckhead. The first restaurant opening in 1978. And this allows me an opportunity to speak to thousands of Buckhead residents and also business owners. And let me tell you, the decision to support Buckhead City amongst these people is unanimous. And why is it unanimous? I'll tell you why. Because it's not a Democrat issue, it's not a Republican issue, this is a safety issue. These people, as long as with myself, will continue to support Buckhead City Committee as long as it's willing to fight for our right to control our destiny and have a vote. And this takes finances. These colleagues that I speak with are willing to support financially Buckhead City Committee simply as a price of doing business, because the city of Atlanta has simply failed. And we do call on the governor, the good Governor Kemp, who I believe made one of the toughest decisions, not only in the United States, maybe in the world, when he allowed us to reopen our businesses in the pandemic. And he was right on that tough issue. And I believe that foresight for the business owners, the small business owners, he can be right on this issue as well, along with the whole state legislature, because I'll tell you lastly, a strong and safe Buckhead is a strong and safe Atlanta. And the more safer Atlanta is, the more successful it is, and the more successful the state of Georgia is. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are very fortunate to have one of the sitting members of the Georgia Senate here with us. We are running tight on our program. We try to keep this to about a half an hour today, but it is our great honor to have a true law enforcement individual as a former senior member of law enforcement, somebody who understands crime, understands the law, and understands our right to vote. He's a great friend of ours. Please join me in welcoming Senator Randy Robertson.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you, Buckhead City Committee. I appreciate the hard work and the time y'all put into this. I want to be really clear with everybody. I am a good friend of the Lieutenant Governors, and I am a strong supporter of Governor Brian Kemp. They're my friends. 2 weeks ago, I was contacted by the Lieutenant Governor and asked to serve on the Buckhead Public Safety Task Force that was put together to study the crime and other issues related to safety within Buckhead. And I proudly accepted that challenge. And I attended the first meeting this past week when the city of Atlanta, different individuals from the city of Atlanta and individuals from state law enforcement testified as to what they were doing to address crime. And I'm going to be an active participant in trying to figure out what we can do to stem the crime in this area. And I took an oath over 35 years ago to serve and protect, and I've never stepped away from that oath, nor will I ever step away from that oath. But I do know that the capital of the state that I love is Atlanta. And I do know that it's the birthplace of civil rights. And I know that it's the birthplace of freedom, where people are allowed to express themselves, people are allowed to be different. People are allowed to be white, and they're allowed to be black and gay and straight and Baptist and Methodist. And damn it, they're allowed to vote. We allow people to create cities. We allow citizens to determine their own futures. And I challenge each and every one of you, no matter how tough this fight gets, if you're going to go with me, you're going to stay in the fight. Because I'm not running away from a fight. And each and every citizen of Buckhead City who live within that area have a right to vote. I ask you to not only be ready to vote, understand what you're talking about, but talk back to City Hall, talk back to your state government, talk back to government agencies, because we all work for you. We work for the voter. voters put me where I'm at, and their rights don't stop with electing a state senator. They're allowed to vote for anything they want to vote for. And if Buckhead City gets to a vote and it fails, then it's because the citizens chose it to fail. But the citizens have a right to vote. Do not surrender your right to vote. I have witnessed ugly campaigns throughout my career thanks to my wife's involvement in politics. I don't know that I've ever witnessed such a directed and angry campaign than the one I've witnessed against Buckhead City. This past week, several friends of mine, my peers in the Senate, received mailers from unknown individuals attacking their politics. And these are senators who support Buckhead City. And what they have done is made us angry. And I promise you, when we're happy, we're bad enough to deal with. But if you want to attack me on something that I do wrong. Don't attack me for standing up for the rights of citizens. But I will say they have not attacked me for some reason, but they have attacked some of my friends. And don't mess with my friends, because my friends support Buckhead City, and the citizens that live in Buckhead City are my friends. So do not give up the fight. It's like I say before, I can give you a kidney, but I can't give you backbone. You got to have that on your own. That's up to your mama, your daddy, and the gods you believe in. Thank y'all very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Randy. I'm Sam Laness, the president and founder of Buckhead City Committee. I appreciate everybody coming out today, and keep your ears to the pavement. We'll be doing this again. Have a good day.